everyone, thanks for joining me. Come on in and sit down because today I'm going to be talking to you about an issue that I think most women around my age are concerned by. I know I certainly am and have been for many years, and that is how to prevent our under eye concealer from creasing and really settling into all of those fine lines and wrinkles that we all have. Um, I used to always blame the concealer, if I'm honest. I went through many years of thinking, oh, I don't like that concealer. I hate that concealer. This concealer's awful. It creases like mad. And I'd really blame the product. And as I've gotten older and I've sort of been listening to other people and listening to makeup artists and dermatologists and people here on YouTube, I've kind of realised that it's not the concealer's fault, No concealer is designed to really cover and hide lines and wrinkles. They're just not. The job of a concealer is to lighten and brighten any areas of discoloration, particularly if you use them with a colour corrector. If you've got really dark circles, a colour corrector first will counteract the darkness, and then a concealer on top of that will really brighten the whole area and cover it. And that is the job of a concealer. It's not to cover your wrinkles or your fine lines. And for many years, I misunderstood that. And I just used to always get it wrong, thinking, oh, all these concealers are useless. Well, it's not their fault. I feel bad now. I feel like I should do an apology video to concealers. Anyway, now I've said all of that, there is a way that I've discovered quite recently that I feel helps my concealer to not crease as much. I mean, if you're over 25, or even if you're over 20, you're not going to have a perfectly smooth under eye area unless you naturally have one anyway, which if you do have, brilliant. Or if you have Botox or fillers or something like that, then you might have a very smoothed out area, so you might be okay. But if, like me, you've never had Botox, fillers, you're not naturally very smooth under there, I think some of these tips that I've found might be able to help you out. Now, let me just come a bit closer and just show you my under eye area here. You see, I do have laughter lines. I do have the crow's feet and the laughter lines. I've done a lot of laughing in my life, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, is it? So yeah, what I want from my concealer is I like to put it in the inner corner hollows here, just to brighten it up and make me look more awake, okay? And I want it to look as smooth as it possibly can through the day. And what I have found is that hydration is key. Okay, so whether you believe in eye creams or not, for many years I didn't. I just used to use my normal face moisturizer under my eyes. I used to think eye creams were a bit of a swizz, really, just companies trying to get more money out of us. But actually, the skin on your eye area is a lot thinner than the skin anywhere else on your body. So it does kind of make sense then that we need to treat it in a different way. The face creams that we use will probably be too heavy for this very thin, fragile skin around our eyes. So since I've been in my sort of mid-40s onwards, I have used a dedicated eye cream. And the one that I'm using at the moment is this Skin Renewing Eye Cream by CeraVe. I'm not saying this one is the best. I don't know. It's just the one that I'm using at the moment. Just use whichever eye cream that you like. High-end, drugstore, I don't care. Whichever one that works for you, just use that. And also, if you have sort of really deep wrinkles, really deep lines around here, I really like to use those eye patches. The moisturising, hydrating eye patches you can get. Loads of different brands do them these days. The ones that I like are these by Garnier. They're really nice. And I'll just stick them on. Keep them on for 5-10 minutes, depending on how much time I've got. And then when I take them off, I do find that this area has been plumped up, because if you put moisture into the skin, it just plumps it up, doesn't it? Helping it to appear smoother, which helps with concealer settling into fine lines. So obviously I've got the Garnier ones. Loads of brands do them. Pixi do them. If you want high end, Dior do some. I think Charlotte Tilbury do some as well. So again, whichever price point you're looking for, if you find yourself some eye patches, I think they might really help as well, because it is all about the preparation, I have found. And the last product in terms of preparation that I found that I think really, really helps is the Vitamin Enriched Eye Base from Bobbi Brown. And I don't know if you're familiar with Bobbi Brown, but she does a very famous vitamin enriched face base, doesn't she? Which is a really, really nice primer. So vitamin enriched eye base. I'll write it in the description box below. But this, it's like a primer for that delicate eye area. And I found that when I use this, it's quite a sort of balmy texture. Can't really see it because it soaks straight in, and that's ideal for just going around this area here, around those fine lines, because it just helps to plump them out. Another thing as well that might help, I heard a dermatologist explain this once, is exfoliation. Because when you think about it, wrinkles, it's kind of like grooves in the skin like this, isn't it? And if you exfoliate the area, you're taking off that top layer of dead skin cells, and that makes this wrinkle look less deep. It made perfect sense when I heard the dermatologist explaining it. I'm not sure if I explained it as well, but obviously gentle exfoliation. We don't want to be scrubbing hard around the eye area at all, you know, but just something very, very gentle, just once a week or something. I think that can help too. And then put your moisturizing products over the top of that. Okay, so we've done our preparation now. The next step is to choose your concealer. And I like loads of different concealers. The one that I'm using the most at the moment, though, is my Estee Lauder Double Wear Concealer. This is the new one that came out quite recently. I've got this in the shade 1N, just to brighten under the eyes. Another concealer that I really like as well is the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. I have this in light peach. So they're probably my top two favourites. They're both quite full coverage concealers. If you want a lighter coverage concealer, I really like the NYX Bear With Me Serum. But again, just whichever concealer you like, you know, it's more about the technique than the product itself. Okay, so if I just show you then how I do it, I'm going to go in with my Estee Lauder concealer today, and then I'm going to do something that you haven't seen me do before if you've watched my videos. I'm going to tap it in with a damp beauty sponge. And I haven't used one of these in any of my videos before because I don't really like beauty sponges, just from a hygiene point of view. I just think the upkeep and keeping them clean is a bit of a faff. And for most days, when I'm just getting ready quickly and just want to put my face on and be out the door, I can't be bothered. I just use my fingers or a brush. But on those days, like special occasions, if I'm going out, if I want my makeup and my concealer to look as good as possible for as long as possible, I do use one of these to tap my concealer in, and I'm going to show you now exactly how I do it. So I'm going to take some of my Estee Lauder, and I'm just going to place it just in that inner hollow area where I want it there. Okay, now I've seen some people go all the way across, all the way up here, and I do not want to go anywhere near these crow's feet with my concealer, because that would just make them look a lot worse. As I said earlier, concealers are just not designed for that. So I'm going to take my damp beauty sponge. Okay, this is damp. It's don't have it too wet. And I'm just going to give it a little spray with a setting spray, whichever setting spray you like. At the moment, I'm using the Maybelline one. Just give it a little spray. And I'm just going to tap that concealer into the area, okay? So tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Okay, there. And can you see the difference? You can see the difference in brightness, can't you, now, between that eye and that eye? And yeah, that's all I need. That's all the brightening I need. Okay, so I'm going to do the same again on the other side. So just about that much. Take my sponge again and just tap, tap, tap. So we're not dragging, we're not rubbing with the sponge. We're just tap, 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 bouncing it off the skin. Just there in that area. And again, you can see how that has just brightened up that area, can't you? And once you've done that, I've been going over it with a powder. Now, I think you have to choose your powder carefully for setting your concealer. Because if you use the wrong kind of powder, that can cake up and that can cause all sorts of problems. That can make you look like you've got wrinkles that you don't even have in the first place. I've learned that lesson the hard way. Now, I like if you want a loose powder, I like this one by Laura Mercier. This is the little sample size. It's the translucent powder, but it's, hang on, let me just get my glasses. It's not the original one. What's this called? Translucent loose setting powder, ultra blur. So this is the Laura Mercier ultra blur powder, the one with the white lid. I like this for setting my under eye area. If you want a pressed powder, I really, really do like the Charlotte Tilbury, this airbrush flawless finish powder. This is really, really nice for setting the under eye area as well. If you're on a budget though, the number 7 one, what's this called? Airbrush Away translucent finishing powder is really nice, very similar to the Charlotte Tilbury. And if you have very dry skin and if you have a very dry under eye area, I really like the By Terry, the hyaluronic hydra powder. This is the pressed version, and this is, again, it's the small size. They do this in a full size, but I've just got the small travel size because I find that with under eye setting powders, it takes me ages and ages to go through them because you're only using a very small amount. So for this little size powder, I mean, I got this from Look Fantastic and it was £17. I never pay full price on Look Fantastic. I always use somebody's 20% discount code. So it's actually quite good value, and this will last me for ages and ages because I do use the tiniest amount. And it's got like moisturizing, hydrating properties to it, this has, because it's got hyaluronic acid in it. So I think if you do have dry skin, this would be a really, really good one for you. But today, my skin isn't feeling too dry today, so I think I'm going to go in with my Charlotte Tilbury one on my Real Techniques setting brush. This brush is perfect for that under eye area. It's just the right size. So I'm going to take a bit of this powder, tap off the excess, and then just gently run it over where I place that concealer. Just through there. Like that. And then same again on the other side. And it's so finely milled, this powder is. I think that's what you're looking for really with an under eye setting powder, is one that's really, really finely milled, which all of these ones are that I've just shown you. So there we go. And then at the end, when I've done the rest of my makeup, which I'll just do some now, I'll just go in with the bronzer, my Lancome bronzer in the shade Light, 02 Light. I'm just going to put a bit of this on my face now just to finish everything off. Bit down my nose, across the forehead. There we go. And then I'm just going to go over that with some blush, and I'm using my Bare Minerals Blonzer today in the shade Kiss of Pink. I love this. So these blonzers, I mean, you can use them, the idea is you can use it as a blush or a bronzer, but I just like to use it as a glowy blush, you know, just a nice glowy blush where you don't need to put any highlight over the top. I think that's lovely. And this Kiss of Pink shade, I just really, really love it. Right, there we go. And on my lips, I'm just wearing my Revlon Super Lustrous in Glossed Up Rose. There we are. I'm not wearing any eyeshadow today. Most days I don't. And yeah, I'm really happy with this. And I think my under eye areas, they look nice and bright. Show you a bit closer up as well. Very minimal creasing there. And I do think that it's the technique of using the Bobbi Brown, what's it called, vitamin enriched eye base. I use a bit of this over the top of an eye cream, okay, and then I get a damp beauty sponge, spray it with a little bit of setting spray, and then tap 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 into the area, and then I go over it with a setting powder, the Charlotte Tilbury, the Laura Mercier Ultra Blur, or the By Terry if you. Okay, sorry about that. My camera just ran out of space. So I was just saying that you can set your under eye area with powders, the Charlotte Tilbury, the Laura Mercier, or if you have a dry under eye area, this By Terry hyaluronic hydra powder is very nice as well. So the overall take home message then that I want you all to have is that if you do have fine lines and wrinkles, which let's face it, we all do, you cannot expect your concealer to cover it because it just won't. That's not its job. So I think let's just enhance the areas that we can. Let's brighten the areas that we can and try and counteract any areas of discoloration. But apart from that, let's just embrace them, you know? I mean, for goodness sake, I'm 48 now. I've lived and I've laughed and I've got the evidence. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it? So I say, let's just embrace it and go with it, and just, you know, enhance the bits that we can. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video and got something out of it. Let me know if you have. Let me know what tips and tricks work for you. Let's all share them amongst ourselves. We can all learn from each other, can't we? And yeah, I'll see you again in my next video. Bye.